One of the wildest trade deadlines that I can remember has finally come and gone. And while the Mariners stood pat today, the Astros and Rangers were very busy. We'll react to it all coming up here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Thursday, July 31st, 2025. This is Tony Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and use the promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. Only valid through September 30th. Order transfusion flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. And as always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, you can check out our Patreon. All you have to do to check that out is click the link in the description of this episode. So the trade deadline has come and gone, and the Mariners, well, they look about the exact same as they did the last time we talked to you guys. So yeah, I feel pretty conflicted about that, and we'll talk about that. We'll also react to what the rest of the AL West did, and we'll give you our thoughts on what this Mariners roster is going to look like the rest of the way. But yeah, I guess let's just start here. The Mariners, they added the two best bats that moved, and they should be committed for that. But we saw a ton of relievers go today. A lot of the relievers that we talked about, even some that we didn't talk about, that we weren't expecting to move. Some of them got moved today. The Yankees got a ton of them. The Rangers got a couple of them. And it was reported earlier today by Adam Judah of the Seattle Times, the Mariners wanted to get one of those guys and or a role player. But they wound up coming up empty-handed. So their final haul at the deadline is Eugenio Suarez, Josh Naylor, and Caleb Ferguson, who I think we're kind of underrating a little bit, by the way. They still should have added another arm. Like, don't get me wrong, but I actually think the Ferguson addition, the more that I've thought about it, is actually a really nice add for the Mariners. But that said, while that haul is great when you say it out loud, that's awesome. Again, they got both of the big bats out of Arizona. And again, now that we know that Stephen Kwan isn't going to move, some of these other guys that we thought might get moved, they didn't get moved. Like, Naylor and Suarez are definitively the best bats that were traded, and we should absolutely applaud them for that. But also, on the flip side, the fact that they completely set today out when they still had a great opportunity to take what is, in my mind, and I stand by what I said last night, the best trade deadline that this organization has ever had, and not take it to that extra level. They chose not to do that. That specifically doesn't sit right with me. So I feel kind of conflicted. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think conflicted's probably the best word, because like what they did actually do is phenomenal. You know, they plugged the biggest hole in their lineup, not just with, you know, an average player. They plugged it with, because of the state of third baseman in Major League Baseball right now, one of the best at the position, bar none. So it's not like they made a minor upgrade there. They made a massive upgrade at third base. They made a massive upgrade at first base. And they added, like you said, a quality arm to their bullpen, one that they really needed. So when you focus on what they actually got, it's a great deadline. I don't know if it's the best of all time, getting a couple years of Randy just last year, but it's now 3 of the last 4 deadlines that Jerry Dipoto has gotten one of the premier players, if not the premier player, that was traded at the deadline. Like, Jerry is good at this. He is aggressive at the deadline. So much so that the one time he wasn't, it stuck out and it made us mad. So, yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, cool, that's awesome. I'm happy about that. And I am. I certainly am. But they almost became a victim of their own success today, because what they were able to get, and for the price they were able to get it at, they had anything they wanted to do almost. like in their grasp. They could have done it. Like, make no mistake, the Mariners not making a move today is because they chose not to. They could. It wasn't a lack of opportunity. It was a lack of will to make another move today. And that stings because you look at this roster, they absolutely need another bullpen arm. They absolutely need a supplementary bat. Like, if somebody in your starting lineup right now gets hurt, you're in danger, like, because you don't have a lot of depth. Your bench right now is Garver, Dylan Moore, Donovan Solano, and Miles Mastroboni. That's gross and not in a good way. So, there were obvious moves to make. And the type of players that you needed to fill those spots to upgrade there were reasonably priced. Like a couple of decent prospects, a Ty Pete and a Michael Morales thing gets most of these deals done that we saw today. And they just chose not to do it. And it's because they got what they got at such a great price for them that it made us, or at least me, I don't want to speak for everybody, feel like, man, they have so much house money right now. They have so much goodwill right now that they can be a little aggressive. They can, quote unquote, overpay and go put the finishing touches on this ball club, and nobody's going to care. And instead, they decided to take that goodwill and just kind of, I guess, try to bank it. And it falls short because, we talk about it like they set the bar up here and they reached it. They could have, blown the bar out of the water, even though they set it as high as they did. And that would have been something that, this fan base, not only would it have carried them for the rest of this season, but it would have carried them in the off season as well, because you say, man, look at this team cares. They actually want to go for it. Like, look how aggressive they were at the deadline. Look at the money they added at the deadline. And that's one thing we should point out. It's possible perhaps the Mariners wanted to make some moves, but ownership was like, look, we've already spent X amount extra, and you need to either move a salary or something, or you just can't add anymore. So it's possible that's what happened. I don't know. Who's to say? We're never going to know. But yeah, I think it feels a little incomplete because it was a great job. It was an A paper. It's like you didn't want the A plus. Like, you worked so hard to get the A. Like, why not just get the A plus? So it is simultaneously disappointing, and also it's like, they got the two best bats that were traded at the deadline. So, like, I understand the people who are like, who cares that they got Gino and Naylor? Like, that's a great deadline. Who cares? But I also understand that people are like, they got Gino and Naylor, but like the bullpen is still kind of a mess, and the number 5 spot in the rotation is up in the air. Like, so I think both of those two sides have valid points, but they're kind of ignoring the gray areas that mesh and meet in the middle. And that's kind of where I'm at, is like, I think they had a really good deadline. If you had told me this is what they were going to do beforehand, and the prices that they were going to get these guys, I would have said, like, yeah, sign me up. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a really good deadline. But when you look at it in the context and how they were able to get these deals together, I mean, Seattle gave up less for Naylor and Gino than San Diego gave up to get Ramon Laureano and Ryan O'Hearn. Like, they got better players for cheaper than two similar players. So, like, good on them. But because they did that, because they were able to not move, their elite prospects or anything like that, it just felt like this was a great opportunity to go and try and move some of these guys. Now, there weren't a ton of guys out there that like would require elite prospects. One of them was Griffin Jackson. It's pretty clear the Mariners, the prospects they were willing to trade for a reliever were not going to outbid, a number 4 starter with 4 years of club control.
Right.
That Tampa was able to throw in there. So that one, I'm not really blaming them for Griffin Jackson. I understand why they just couldn't make that deal, but a Phil Maton would have cost you like Ty Pete, and you decide not to do that. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't sit right with me. And a couple of those guys, both of those guys, go to the team that is tied with you for that last wild card spot. Yeah. So, and that makes it sting a little bit worse. So it's just one of those things where it's like, it's very conflicting, because on the one hand, they did great. On the other hand, they could have done better.
Yeah.
And they chose not to. And that's the most disappointing part for me.
Yeah. It's funny, leave it to the Mariners to get the guy everybody loves, that everybody wanted back, and to still find a way to piss people off in the end. I feel like
a superpower.
Yeah. I feel like the Mariners are kind of a victim of timing as well here a little bit. Like, would we feel this exact same way had they made the Geno deal 2 hours ago as opposed to 19 hours ago, whatever it is now at this point?
Yeah. I mean, no, probably not.
Yeah. So I feel like it's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like you needed to do a little bit more. You and I were kind of talking about this before we hit record on this thing, that it's kind of like the like we kind of made a football comparison of this. Like, they kind of went out and they got the skill players, but they didn't really focus on the trenches that much. And like, the trenches are very important. And right now, that you can make a very strong argument that the trenches are the biggest issue with this club right now. I really like the Caleb Ferguson move. I mean, they got a guy that, again, like I said yesterday, is just absolute murder on lefties, and he's actually been pretty good against righties as well. I failed to mention that on the show yesterday. Like, I think that's a really nice ad for the Mariners. But yeah, it's like, you know, you heard that they were in on Duran and they were trying to make a really strong push on him, and you know, you see all these other relievers that went today. And while, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and, you know, we don't know how other teams view your prospects, view your farm system as a whole, and blah, 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 blah. I think it's a safe assumption to make that you could have at least made some of these deals that were made today for some of these relievers. And the fact that you didn't, while we had to sit and watch for the last, you know, 6 to 8 hours, the Yankees go out and build a bullpen of death. See the Astros get significantly better. See the Rangers get significantly better. Like, yeah, something about that doesn't sit right with me, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's you have to separate it, because what the Astros do really shouldn't impact what you do.
No.
Per se. But at the same time, it's hard to ignore.
Yeah.
Especially since, you know, your two biggest rivals and the teams that, you know, are most likely to knock you out of a playoff race, they made 6 moves in the span of what, 2 hours?
Yeah.
And
it was just like one after the other.
Yeah.
Well, the Coulomb trades dropped at the same exact time as the Jesus Sanchez trade. We'll talk more about that in a second. But yeah, it was just like boom, 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 boom. And it's like, okay, what are the Mariners doing? What are they up to? And then right at about the 1 hour to go mark, Adam Jude drops the tweet that we see every single year that I said the other day I just absolutely hate. The Mariners are unlikely to make another move before the deadline. What?
Sorry.
What's that face?
Well, no, it's funny. You know who's not in the lineup tonight for the Rangers?
Oh.
Harry Ford's not in the lineup tonight for the Rangers.
Eye emoji?
I mean,
buzzer
I
beater trade?
Yeah, I'm going to say no to that. Call up? But, of course, like, if he was not in the lineup last night, imagine how that would. But, and also, I read the most.
That's probably on purpose, by the way.
Probably. That feels like a troll job, but yeah. I just read the most ridiculous thing you'll hear. If you think the Mariners had a bad deadline, A, you're stupid, but B, you can't even deny the Red Sox had a significantly worse one.
Jeez,
let me read you the quote here from Craig Breslow.
Oh no.
Breslow says the Red Sox feel they were, quote, uncomfortably aggressive. He also said, quote, other teams needed to say, hey, that's enough.
Oh man.
Wow.
That's a quote. That is certainly one of the quotes of all time. Yeah. The Red Sox did not have a good deadline. I thought the Cubs had a pretty disappointing deadline relative to what kind of the league's expectations were for them. Like, they got Willie Castro, who we really liked, and we really liked for the Mariners, obviously. But yeah, it was like Willie Castro and Andrew Kittredge, and that was it. I mean, I thought the Cubs were going to take a much larger swing than what they did. So
I'm shocked they didn't end up with Keller or Joe Ryan or somebody. Like, none of the controllable starters got moved. All the starters got moved were rentals.
The reason that I say that is there are a lot of other fan bases of contending teams that should be a lot more upset than you should be about what the Mariners did today.
Sure, but you can be as upset as you want. But like, yeah. still, it's
Still, yeah.
You did well. It just felt like you could have done a little bit better, and you chose not to. And that's disappointing.
Yeah,
we're not mad, just a little disappointed.
All right, so let's talk about what the rest of the AL West did. We already kind of mentioned a couple of the moves, but we'll get into those a bit more here in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you once again by 5 Hour Energy. All right, folks, it's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. And golf is all about good times with good people. And good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. For instant reactions following every Mariners game, be sure to tune in to the Mariners postcast with Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford, available on both the Locked On Mariners YouTube and podcast feeds. So let's talk a little bit about what the Astros and Rangers did today, because both of those teams were very active, which obviously added a little bit more fuel to the fire of the Mariners not doing anything today. The Astros did a lot. They were trying to do even more, but they weren't able to make the Dylan Cease trade happen. And Cease is staying in San Diego, which that never really made sense to me. The Padres trading Dylan Cease in the first place.
Yeah.
And like trade him to Houston for what? Right? Like they wanted apparently major league talent back in return. Like what are the Astros going to give up off of their major league roster?
I was hoping Jake Myers, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I feel
SOB.
Yeah. But yeah, so they didn't get Cease done, but they do get Jesus Sanchez, who really good lefty hitter, crushes right-handed pitching, terrible against lefties. Yeah. Yep. Jesus Sanchez, get ready to learn Caleb Ferguson, buddy, and Gabe Spire. But yeah, so Jesus Sanchez, nice little pickup for them. They get what else do they do? Ramon Urias.
Yep.
We got Ramon Urias yesterday. Nice little utility player, can play some second, can play some third for them. We'll see what they do. We'll see where Altuve factors into all this and where he winds up, if he's going to stay in left or he's going to go back to second, or maybe DH.
I would assume Altuve plays second, Sanchez plays left until Yordan is back. Although Yordan probably mostly DHs when he returns, and Urias plays third. That would be my guess.
Yeah. But then the biggest acquisition, obviously, that they made today, at least in terms of like headlines, Carlos Correa is back, and they got the Twins to eat $33 million on his contract
of about the 110 he was owed.
Yeah, so they're still going to be paying him quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's interesting because so the news came out yesterday that Paredes is going to miss the rest of the season. His hamstring is torn, so he's done. So Correa is going to play third base for them. So they were kind of scrambling to find a third baseman, and they were apparently trying to get Gino, and that didn't happen, obviously. And you were able to swoop in and get Gino. So they had to pivot, and they end up pivoting to an old friend there in Correa, who has been a below average hitter this year. 97 WRC plus for Correa in Minnesota this season. And he's slugging well under 400. But of course, it's the Astros, so I'm fully expecting Carlos Correa to be like a 200 WRC plus bat the rest of the way. Because, yeah, that's just what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss anything that the Astros did?
Nope, I believe that's it.
Yeah.
Urias, Sanchez, and Correa.
They They were trying to add bullpen help. They were trying to add rotation help. They looked at Alcantara on top of Cease. Couldn't make that happen.
No.
I would assume they were trying to talk to the Padres about Robert Suarez or maybe Jason Adam. But
Probably.
yeah, none of that happened. So yeah, decent haul for the Astros for sure. And again, like on the surface, it just seems decent, but because it's the Astros, it's probably they're all going to just be amazing for them because they're the Astros. So then the Rangers get Merrill Kelly from the Diamondbacks. They were apparently neck and neck with the Red Sox for a couple of hours on him. And they were able to push through and get Kelly. Zach Gallen wound up not getting moved by the Diamondbacks today. By the way, that was a little weird, especially considering all the players that they did wind up trading. It's a little weird that Gallen stuck around.
Yep.
But yeah, so Kelly goes to Texas, as well as Phil Maton and Danny Kulo. So, like the Mariners, they improved on their strength, but they didn't really address the problem, which for the Rangers has been the offense, and particularly the way that the offense is played at home. So they're just really they're really leaning into the pitching. They're going to really lean into, we're going to try and win as many 1-run games as we can.
Yeah. So it's funny. I mentioned this on socials, and I texted you this as well. Like, Seattle really needed pitching. Like, they needed offensive help too. Like, the offense has been really bad for the last week or so, and it's been inconsistent this year. But all in all, the offense has been the strength of the Seattle Mariners. So naturally, what did they do at the deadline? They go get the two best bats that were moved to add to their strength, and they kind of ignore their weakness. What do the Rangers do at the deadline? They go add to their strength, which is their starting pitching and their bullpen, and they ignore bats entirely. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, did you guys maybe want to swap like one of these? Like, you guys want to take Naylor and we'll take, one of the relievers and Merrill Kelly. And it's just weird that it worked the way it did. But to me, what the Rangers did is actually scarier than what the Astros did. Again, like, all joking aside, Jesus Sanchez is pretty easily neutralized with a decent lefty, which the Mariners now have a couple. And Ron Urias is a part-time player. Like, he's not a guy who should be playing every day. And Carlos Correa, he's old, and like his body is not what it used to be. And so there is a possibility that he's nothing. By the way, it's not a guarantee that Yordan comes back and he's incredible. Although there's 3 games left against the Mariners. He's going 8 for 9 in that series, but whatever. So they're going to get Yordan back. They're going to get Pena back soon, very soon. They're going to get Jake Myers back. He's been on the IL.
But I'll say Christian Javier is coming back soon. Spencer Arrighetti is coming back soon.
I think, though, that you can outslug the Astros. I'm not worried about their bullpen. I'm not worried about their starting pitching. I'm just not. Like, they didn't do anything to make that better. They're not, even with the Mariners struggling the way they are on the pitching side of things, I still think Seattle's more talented on that side. And I think you can go blow for blow with the Astros. So I'm not that worried about it. Texas, on the other hand, has significantly better pitching than you do this year. And just like we thought we would say 4 months ago, the Mariners and the Rangers are playing a critical 4-game series starting tonight. That will feature the Mariners' juggernaut, high-powered, home run hitting lineup versus the Texas Rangers' elite starting pitching and bullpen. Just like we all knew we would say 4 months ago. Am I right? So
Yep.
Yeah. Both of the AL West teams did well today. I do want to throw this out there. LOL at the Angels, who decided they were going to buy, and then they got a couple middle relief types and a guy who's got like a sub 200 on base percentage. Like, yeah, you guys, good job not trading Taylor Ward because you beat the Rangers twice. Like, that's, you definitely should be buyers. It could be a lot worse, guys. You could be Angels fans.
Funniest team in baseball by far.
Funny and stupid are often, kind of go hand in hand.
Yep. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. So let's wrap up here just talking about this Mariners roster now that it is pretty much set in stone. Still some moving parts here, especially with the roster move that was made today. Ben Williamson has been sent down to Tacoma. So that's pretty interesting. Miles Mastrobuoni is back up. They didn't have to make a roster move today because Gino took Tyler Locklear's place on the roster, but they decided to send Ben down instead of pushing him into a bench role, at least for the time being. I don't think we've seen the last of Ben Williamson in 2025 at the major league level.
No, I'd agree.
But this now gives him the chance to get every day at bats, and maybe allows them to work with him at maybe second base, shortstop a little bit. So maybe he gives them
in the outfield a little bit.
Yeah, so he can give them a little bit more versatility and flexibility down the road.
I'm expecting to see Ben Williamson get some starts at shortstop down in Tacoma.
Interesting. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. The other thing, pretty important here, Harry Ford survived the deadline. So it's not time yet, but we're going to have a very interesting conversation to have about Harry Ford in a few weeks. So, yeah, get ready for that. But Harry Ford is probably going to make his major league debut for the Seattle Mariners here in a few weeks, if I had to guess.
Makes me happy.
Yeah, that's a nice little like side thing here.
It helps. You know, you're like, oh, I wish the Mariners would have done something and all. And
I am a big Harry Ford fan, so I am.
We both
like,
are, yes.
I was like, okay with the idea of them trading him.
It's a business, you understand it. Like the goal is to get better, and Harry Ford is going to be valuable. So, like, yes,
I'm not complaining.
I kind of accepted that it was probably going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about him still being here, though.
Yeah, but the fact that it didn't, I'm like, oh, that's okay. That helps.
Yeah, for sure. So that's fun to think about.
Whoa,
what?
Oh, sorry. Well, it's past the deadline. You know, nothing like that happened. We can go back to new look lineup tonight. You ready to hear this one, Ty?
Okay, hit me.
Leading off, Randy Arozarena.
Whoa.
Cal Raleigh hitting second.
Whoa.
Julio hitting third.
Okay.
Josh Naylor fourth.
Okay.
Gino fifth.
Uh-huh.
Polo DHing.
Yeah.
Canzone in right. JP Crawford hitting eighth. Cole Young hitting ninth. I personally, I'm a bigger fan of lineup construction than most, and I do believe your two best hitters should be hitting 1 and 2. And this lineup accomplishes that. It's like, okay, can we flip Gino and Julio? Can Julio hit fifth? I guess the idea here is to give Julio as much protection as you possibly can, with Cal Raleigh in front of him and Naylor and Gino behind him. Yeah. So we'll see if this is more of a serious thing, or if it's a regular thing, or if they're just going to try a few things here and there. But it's fun. Like, it is noteworthy enough that you would be, wow, it was worth talking about.
That's different. So this roster is pretty much set in stone. Donovan Solano and Dylan Moore still being here, I think, is ridiculous. I also think that, letting this bullpen rock in its current state, despite the nice addition of Caleb Ferguson, is a mistake. That said, their remaining needs that we identified last night and talked about earlier on in the show, those pale in comparison to what the Mariners' biggest need ultimately is. And that is Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, and to an extent, Brian Wu. I don't want to hyper focus on him because he has been nails for the most part, but since the All-Star break, it hasn't gone well. Obviously, last night was bad for Brian. But they need those three guys to be Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, and Brian Wu.
Absolutely.
That is what is ultimately going to take this team from where it is right now to where it ultimately wants to go. Not a number 5 starter that they could have added. not another reliever that they could have added. All those things certainly would have helped and would have helped raise the floor and mask some more of the deficiencies that this club has. But it's on the players, like you said last night. It is ultimately on them to take this thing and run with it, to take this opportunity and run with it. And it is on the guys that you know can be dogs, absolute dogs, to be dogs the rest of the way. So it really comes down to those three guys to me in this rotation.
Agreed.
So how are you feeling just about this roster now as a whole? And so, we talked about the bench, obviously. Like right now it's Masterboni, it's Garver, it's Demo, and it's Solano. Gross. You are going to get Luke Raley back. It doesn't seem like he's going to be out too long. It doesn't seem like that's going to be too much of a prolonged thing.
Yeah, it's the same side as his oblique injury, so you kind of wonder maybe that can linger. But sure, for now, let's just say he's back. Assume he's back after the minimum stay.
Yeah, and again, we're going to talk about Harry Ford here in the next few weeks, so he's probably going to factor in at some point. Hopefully, you're able to get Victor Robles into the fold here sometime in September. We'll see if that's mid-September, late September, whatever. But hopefully, you're able to get him back. So the bench will look different.
You hope.
Hopefully, at least. Like there is a path here to the bench still looking different and better by the end of the season.
Absolutely.
But yeah, how are you feeling about the roster as a whole now that it's pretty much done? Like they might pick up some guys off of waivers here and there, whatever. But
Steele gets DFA'd and
yeah.
So I wish this team cared more about the bench. They don't.
We say that every year.
I do. And every year it seems to come up that they could really use this guy, and they never seem to want to do that, even though they usually can acquire those guys for peanuts. Dylan Moore and Donovan Solano still being on this roster today is gross. Both of them together. That is disgusting. But yeah, you hope Victor Robles is back in September, but that's no guarantee. And if your bench is against righties is usually Robles, Raley, Garver, probably Ford and Williamson by the time Robles is ready to go, because you're going to have a 5-man bench at that point. That's much better. There's some versatility there. There's power there. There's speed there. So that's much better. But for now, it's not great. Again, Trent Thornton and Carlos Vargas are still going to have to handle some mid-leverage innings for me. That's not great. Now, Thornton's been really solid since he's returned from his appendectomy, and Vargas was really good until July. So if, Vargas's trend reverts back to April and Thornton continues on the path he's on, fine. And, maybe you get Gregory Santos back, but you see what I'm saying here? Like, there's a lot of if this happens and this happens, it could be fine. And then, you just
very familiar thing in the Jerry Dipoto era.
If everything goes right, then the roster will be fine. Yeah. That's not something that you should ever be banking on. And the Mariners consistently do it with their bench and also with the front half of their bullpen. So, I do have concerns about this roster. They're not very deep. If somebody gets hurt in the starting lineup, it could be disastrous. Because you don't have anybody who can stop that position from being a black hole. It's like if Canzone gets hurt before Rayleigh's back, it's Leody Taveras and it's Dylan Moore out there in right field. No, that's just not going to work. Yeah. So I do have concerns about that.
I'm not going to lie. I forgot about Leody Taveras.
Not doing too well in Tacoma, but he did hit a grand slam the other night. That's how I remembered he was here. But yeah, so there are ways that this works out totally fine, but you're banking a lot on the health of your starting nine. You're banking a lot on the health of your bullpen. And you're banking quite a bit that the starters are going to be who they've been pretty much their entire career, with the exception of who they've been in their last, 3 months, which is obviously the most relevant version of who they are.
Yeah.
So you could have shored some of that up. Today was really a great day to raise the floor. I don't know if you're going to raise the ceiling significantly higher than it is, but the gap, like the Mariners raised the gap between, the previous floor and the new floor, but the ceiling kind of dropped a little bit, not a ton. Like the ceiling didn't, or the floor didn't go with the ceiling, right? The ceiling rose, but the floor stayed the same. But that leaves a bigger gap there. And whereas you could have added Castro, you could have added Maton, and the floor would have moved up. The ceiling maybe didn't move up, but whatever. Like they chose not to do that today. So I still have questions about this roster, but overall, I am pretty happy with the deadline. I'm excited to see what this lineup looks like, and excited to see for at least 2 months, Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, and look at this as maybe a bit of a tryout to see if either one of these guys, who both make a ton of sense for the Mariners in 2026 and 2027, to be frank, to see if maybe they want to be here next year and beyond. And I guess we'll just cross our fingers and hope ownership will stop pretending they don't have the money to sign one or both of these guys this winter. But yeah, so I'm excited to watch the rest of this. I'm excited the trade deadline's over. It's been a pretty exhausting month for us. Really an exhausting last week with all the updates and all that. So I'm excited to just get back to baseball and just watching this. But yeah, keep an eye on the waiver wire. I think the Mariners still need to be aggressive there. If they have an opportunity to upgrade the bullpen, they should take it. Like I said, Ryan Presley, you're not going to claim him and take his, and he'll be due about probably about $4.5 million if you claim him right now. You're not going to take that on, but if he clears, maybe he's still upset with the Astros about that whole situation. Maybe he signs with you. That could be a guy that could help, but we'll see who else gets DFA'd. But overall, the roster, I would have liked if they had raised the floor after they'd raised the ceiling, and they chose not to. So
yeah,
I'm just kind of, more excited than I am worried, but yeah, I'm definitely still worried because there is a scenario where things don't pan out for you and you get a little bit unlucky in one or two places and the thing just collapses because you didn't do a good enough job of, kind of building up the support systems around the stars that you do have.
All right, so listen up. We are taking tomorrow off. We have recorded a lot of podcasts this week. We are tired. We are going to enjoy a nice little 3-day weekend. Colby's going to the game tomorrow. You guys should go to the games tomorrow and this weekend. Go watch this ball club. They're going to be fun, man. Go watch Gino. Go watch Josh Naylor. Go watch Randy. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Good vibes only, baby. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.